The honourable member for York Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm letting you know that I will be splitting my time with the Leader of the Opposition this afternoon. Our motion today, Mr. Speaker, is to request that the House call on the government to adopt what we have proposed as the Canada Sovereignty Act. The Sovereignty Act is our proposal to re-establish Canada as a competitive and world-class nation, confident in its ability to build national pipelines, national projects, ports, and all other manner and means to enable Canadians to again feel confident in their future. We have often heard criticism that the opposition does not provide enough solutions. Well, here they are before you, Mr. Speaker, and we will continue to provide Canadians with common sense solutions to the inactions after 10 years of Liberal government. We want Canadians to feel confident that the opportunity for them is on the horizon, that a better future awaits them and their children, and a sense of pride in our country could return. The Sovereignty Act, therefore, Mr. Speaker, is really fundamentally a proposal about hope for Canadians. Hope that the future will be better than the past, hope that we can move our country in a positive direction. I'm sorry to say that, in my estimation, Canadians don't feel confident in their future right now. And in fact, lots of public polling will support my position. Canadians are more anxious than they have ever been. They are more concerned than they have ever been about what the future holds from them, where their next paychecks will come from, how they will feed their families, and whether they will have a job in the future. In fact, many feel that their children will no longer be better off than they were at the same time. It does, in fact, feel like a nation divided, where the government has allowed division to percolate and simmer. West versus East, Canadians of faith versus Canadians who have a different view. Over and over, region versus region, Canadian versus Canadian, those divisions have percolated and simmered. And of course, there is our more belligerent neighbor to the south. It seems to me, Mr. Speaker, these are actually echoes of our history, and I know my honourable colleague who spoke before me chided the Conservatives to looking at history, but our history is a proud one, Mr. Speaker, and we should be proud of it and draw inspiration from it and from the great men and women who came before us in this House. So it seems to me there are echoes of our past in our present situation. Indeed, in my estimation, our current circumstance are not dissimilar to some of those that were facing our infant nation in the late 1870s and 1880s during the debates in this House around our great national project, the building of the Canadian Pacific Railway. And during the great parliamentary debates in late 1880 and early 1881, our great founding father, John A. MacDonald, lamented on the failure of its earlier attempt to organize the construction of the railway. And in comments to the House, he noted that in the intervening period between the first attempt to build the railway and the second attempt to build the railway, he said in his speech, "We have had in the intervening period tragedy, comedy, and farce from the other side." And I suggest to you, Mr. Speaker, that the parallel of those days is strikingly similar to me. We too have had tragedy, comedy, and farce from the Liberal government. The tragedy, Mr. Speaker, of course, in our present time is that we have similarly lost a decade. For 10 years, no progress has been made by this government to develop Canada's great endowments. For 10 years, no priority has been given to this government to build anything. Quite the opposite, in fact. The focus of this government has been on frivolities rather than the fundamentals of our country. A concern to ban plastic straws rather than build our future. To figure out how many selections in the gender section of a government application there should be, rather than focusing on how Canadians will find their next meal. The comedy, of course, Mr. Speaker, is that in the present time we are seeing members of the government who thought one way last year, who said different things last year or the year before, now speak and profess to believe things in an entirely different way. For a decade, we were told that the carbon tax and other of their environmental measures were the only way to preserve our future for our children, the only way to reverse environmental decline. But now, They've eliminated their own proposals. For a decade, we were told that Canada is a genocidal and racist country with a history not worth remembering, and that we should tear down statues of our great founding father, John A. MacDonald. Now the government wraps itself in a flag when it's convenient for themselves. The hypocrisy on the other side is the sad comedy that we face today, Mr. Speaker. And thirdly, the farce. The farce of our present time is that the new schemes of this government will not achieve anything. A new government bureaucracy will not build more homes. A new government bureaucracy will not see grand national projects started. And despite what the Secretary of State said, the Major Projects Office has not given final approval to one single project. So you can spread your misinformation, but you can Google it yourself. Moreover, we live in a time where the average time to get a building project done, a mine, for example, Mr. Speaker, is 19 years. This is the farce of our current time. But we have provided a solution, Mr. Speaker, the Sovereignty Act, that will make a meaningful difference in our sovereignty in Canada. It's not complicated. In fact, its elegance is in its simplicity. To get the government out of the way, to remove the obstacles that are holding back our national success. I think John A. MacDonald knew that was the way too. Indeed, in the speech from the throne in 1880, in determining the manner to construct the Canadian Pacific Railway, he argued and proposed that it should be constructed, quote, by means of an incorporated company rather than by direct action of the government. Rather than by direct action of the government, Mr. Speaker. Wise words from our history, which I hope the government will take to heart. Because when we build, when we export more, build more, develop our nation more, incomes go up, life becomes more affordable for Canadians. And the Sovereignty Act will do that, Mr. Speaker. Now a word on the cost of failure. Failing to adopt the changes that we have proposed in the Sovereignty Act will have a cost. Failing to repeal the Impact Assessment Act, the oil shipping ban, and the emissions cap will mean that a pipeline to the West Coast may never happen. Failing to remove the industrial carbon tax will saddle our industries with a burden that their competitors don't share and will make them uncompetitive in the world economy. Maintaining the EV mandate will force our auto manufacturers to pay millions of dollars to foreign companies in credits. We will bleed our auto manufacturers, feed foreign companies, and add to foreign wealth. How does that enhance our sovereignty, Mr. Speaker? In his great speech of January 1881, John A. MacDonald also warned of the cost of failure to complete the great project, our great national project, wholly and entirely in Canada. He said, Mr. Speaker, warning that Canada would become, quote, a bundle of sticks, as we were before, without a binding cord, and that we should fall helplessly, powerlessly, and aimlessly into the hand of the neighboring republic. The costs of failure in our present day are no less severe. And that is why we have proposed our solutions in the Canada Sovereignty Act. They're not complicated, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, I don't think we disagree on some of them. But the comments from the other side lead me to believe that they will not consider them. So they must accept the cost of that failure, Mr. Speaker, the cost to our next generation. And I reiterate the Conservative belief and offer to do what we can to maintain and enhance and build our sovereignty, to once again be a nation proud in its history and proud in its great national projects, just as John A. MacDonald was in 1881. Thank you.